Hey everybody, welcome to Maine Wedding Buzz. Today our guest is from At Your Service Video Productions, and it's Joe Genender. Thank you, Joe, for coming.
No problem. I appreciate it.
So get right to the nitty gritty. Video is always important to have at your wedding, I think. You know, photos are great, but when you turn a photo and you don't really hear that movement or see that movement, so I think having video is one of those things that for generations to come is really important, especially when you're newlyweds and then you go on to start a family. To have video there is great, so we'll get right into talking about that. Joe, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I started in the business around 1990, just doing a lot of different video production, whether it be weddings, corporate videos, commercial. At that time, wasn't so much the web, but I mean, nowadays I'm still into that, doing the web videos. And I like meeting different people from different places. Again, I love the weddings and I like the corporate side, so I get to meet different people of different walks of life, which is nice.
How long have you been in business?
I started my business about 4 years ago, but I've been doing video production for over 20 years.
Nice. And you know, what's your day like with a client? Can you tell us, like a bride and groom, or two brides, two grooms, depending?
Yeah, it's interesting with the bride and groom, or two brides or couples. It depends. Sometimes, one of my first weddings when I first started the business, I got hired right through email. Never spoke to them once, and I meet them the day of the wedding. I say hello, and then I try to just kind of take a step back. I don't try to bother them the day of the wedding. And then there's some that I will go and meet in person, or if we need to, we just talk on the phone. It really depends on what's convenient for the couple. I will meet in person when they ask, or if I offer, I'm happy to meet them in person. But sometimes it's hard. I do travel, so if they're in Boston or whatever, we try to meet halfway. But otherwise, it's usually over the phone or via email.
Nice. Now, do you sort of create it as a movie, or?
I do. I mean, there's so many ways to really market a video, a wedding video, and there's so many different styles and highlights and this and that, and I can offer that. The basic package I offer is I go out, I come in and I do the ceremony, and then I also do the reception and cocktail hour, and I string it together as one continuous, like a documentary.
Nice.
It starts off with some people mingling and
So
coming into the ceremony, and then I edit it together. The ceremony takes off, and then from the ceremony, we go into the reception, people mingling at the cocktail hour, go into the grand entrances, and then end with a final dance and something. And then if they want a highlight video, I could generate a highlight video from that. If there's any other specialties, or if they want some on-camera interviews, sometimes I like to have the guests say something, I could do that. But I start with a basic package because a lot of people feel that video is so expensive, and it really isn't. It can be affordable.
So get it in your budget and start working it in there so that you know that you've allotted X amount of dollars for that video.
Yes.
And going into that, how does a client find you?
I'm on a couple of wedding sites. They can find me at aysvideome.com. They can give me a call. They can.
Do you do
shoot me an
referrals?
email.
Obviously, so vendor referrals.
Vendor referrals. Word of mouth is always great.
Nice.
I always try to use the reviews I get, try to talk to brides, ask them for feedback, and I usually do get good feedback. So I always try to. Part of the wedding thing is I try to be unobtrusive. I try. One of the comments I got was, "We didn't even know you were there."
Nice.
And that's what I try to do.
Sort of like a photojournalistic video guy.
Yeah, almost. I mean, I have a zoom lens. I don't need to be on top of the situation unless it's really called for. I attended a family wedding in New York, and the videographer was right there up on the altar. And I'm looking at him like, I don't do that. Why? You're going to be in their pictures. I mean, that's not the greatest place to be. I have a zoom lens. I don't need to be on top of the situation. So I try to be unobtrusive. I don't try to bother them the day of. They have a million things to worry about. So I try to just take a step back and meet and greet, say hello, and just get what I need to get from them.
Like photos that a photographer captures, I think video is just important, as I said in the beginning. How do you get your clients to understand that importance of having video? And do you sell them on that, saying, okay, here's your budget. Let's start with this and then work your way. Is that how?
It depends on what they're looking for. I mean, I don't try to be a hard sell. Photography is great. Photos are great. The thing I try to point out is that you can't hear anything in the photograph.
Good
You
point.
know, you can't hear that special song. You can't hear the vows that you just read to one another at the ceremony. And 10 years from now, you may go back and want to look at it and hear it again. A special toast from the best man or the parents, or a blessing from one of the relatives, or a
Or a
reading,
grandparent's
or a
voice that
grandparent's
might have
voice.
passed on after the wedding many years
Exactly.
later
So
is a very treasured moment. I think.
exactly, and that's the thing. The photographs are great. You just can't capture some of those moments in a photograph, and that's why video, I think, is important, because it's a moving picture, and you get to relive it again when you watch it.
Nice. So, like photography that takes 6 months to get the finished product, does video work the same way? I mean, from start to finish?
Not really. I work by myself. I do hire out when needed, but that's why I try to make it affordable by me, myself,
Working
and I.
Nice.
But the finished product usually comes from 30 to 90 days is what I gauge it.
That's not bad.
It just
Very
depends on my
good.
workload.
Okay.
So, if I'm not so busy during a certain point, then I could crank it out in a month. If not, then, up to 90 days. And I try not to exceed that, and I don't believe I have. If I have, it might have been one time. I'm trying to think in the past 4 years. So, no, I mean, I do try to get it out as quickly as I can.
And what's the best video that you could say that you've done that you go, wow, that's it. That's the video. And I know you have lots. The same thing
No,
the way I do.
it's funny, because I try to treat them all the same.
Mhm.
I think the videos that are best it's really the people that make the video. And there was one that I liked. The couple was up there, and they were just so enthusiastic when they were doing the I do's, and everybody laughed, and I laughed. So it was just funny just being behind camera to laugh. And, do you take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband? And the woman's like, I do, and just everyone just starts laughing, and I like those moments,
Yeah.
and I like being a part of the day.
And again, it's one of those things that you capture that
Yeah.
sometimes a photograph doesn't capture.
Yep.
I mean, photographs do capture those special moments, but videos really do bring it into light.
It does, yeah.
Do you think that 90% of your workload in this industry is wedding related, or do you do corporate?
I do a little bit of everything. I do wedding videos, and then I also do corporate and commercial stuff. So I'll do local ads for people.
And I've seen those in the chamber because those
Yeah.
are great. So
Yeah, so I try to work with people locally, but I do travel too. So really, I'm in it to do video production. So whether it be, a commercial, a corporate video, a wedding video, a web video, I want to do it.
Nice.
Everything fills the gaps. If something's slow in one season, something else will help me in the meantime. And I like doing it because, again, I get to meet different walks of life.
Do you do a lot of bridal shows?
Not so many. I feel like some could be overrated
Mhm.
or a little expensive. Um, you know, as a self-proclaimed business owner, I'm putting my own money into it.
Exactly. You have
and
to sort of
everything.
manage where that
You know,
budget's going to go.
you see where the money goes, and you hear $1,800 to rent a booth. That kind of persuades me not to do it.
No, I agree. Sometimes I think, doing a wedding show, you sort of have to look at the overall, is it going to be beneficial to the business?
Right.
And so I agree with that
Yeah,
wholeheartedly.
and it's tough. I mean, you see some of the wedding shows, and there's some hard sells there, and they hand you a clipboard, want your information as much as possible.
And you're going to get like phone call after phone call.
Yeah,
and you sort of
and-
want to not make it a stressful.
No, no,
For the
exactly.
bride and
And
groom.
exactly, you want them to feel good about it and to take away information. But
Do you think that it's the bride and groom sometimes that forget, or the couples that forget to interject video into their budget, because it's
yeah,
something that when you look at a magazine, it's not the first thing that you see. It's it's venue, caterer, photographer,
it's
floral, and
yeah,
so
it's
you
funny
sort of
because I mean, video's been
like the
around
alphabet. You
for
fall.
yeah, I feel like video's been around for a long time. Probably, I want to say, well, definitely before my time. I mean, I'm over 40, but even in the 80s, I
Yep.
mean, people were doing video for their weddings. But I still feel like it's the last thought. They do photography, they book a caterer,
Hmm.
they book the venue, but video is like the last thing. And just recently, I just had someone call me about 10 days before their wedding. Because, oh yeah, we could use a video because actually we're going to be playing at the very end and we really want to capture that.
And so that's interesting, because that takes me to how far you go, and that was a pretty far location for you, right? Well, not far, but it's a
Yeah, no,
destination. You
it's a
have
good
to, yeah.
destination. You take a ferry over, that sort of thing. But hey, I'll go as far as Cape Cod, Massachusetts, New
Oh,
York.
okay.
I mean,
So you travel
I
outside of the
don't mind
state.
traveling.
Nice.
Again, I make it affordable. I don't like to mark up things, so I don't try to say, I don't try to rent from somebody and then mark it up 50%. I don't do that thing. I don't feel like for me, that's not good business. When they could look something up and then get it themselves and then see what I'm charging, there's no reason for me to mark things up. So minimal travel costs and just try to make the video affordable.
And what do you learn about the client when you first meet him? Do you sort of take it all in and say, I think that this is where, and I know we talked about it a little bit earlier, but you let it all evolve almost, and
You
so.
do. I mean, it's funny. I mean, they feel like there's certain things that can happen and not happen, but I try to tell them, look, I'm not there to direct a movie.
Hmm.
It's as the day unfolds.
It's not a Fellini
So,
film, right?
yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I don't, I'm not going to step in to direct anything. They're going to go about their business, and I'm just there to capture the moments as best as I can. So they don't have to worry about, well, the video guy, where's he going to be and what's
Yeah.
he doing? They don't need to worry about that. They shouldn't have to worry about that. I'm there to do a job, be a professional, and give them a quality product.
What's your normal amount of hours that you spend at the event? Is that based on how much they're going to book you for, or is it,
Yes.
take me through that part of it? Like, is it like a
I
6 hour, 4 hour?
Well, it's funny. I mean, through the years, I've seen and done, packages and that sort of thing, and I don't feel like the packages fit everyone.
Got it.
So the way I do it now is I charge a flat fee for the ceremony because everybody wants their ceremony. You're not going to get a portion of it. You're going to get the whole ceremony. So you get the ceremony, then I charge hourly for the reception. And then
That's a good
depending
idea.
on how long they need me for at the reception, that's how
So
long
you
I'm there for.
customize it.
I customize it. So if they want me there 3 hours, 4 hours, or for the whole thing, then that's what I charge for. And that price would include the day of the event
Mhm.
and then the editing as well. So there's
So it's
no
all
additional
there's no additional.
charges.
So when they get there, and I'm going to assume that they get it on a disc form.
Yes.
I almost said VHS, but
I know, right?
that's me dating myself, and luckily I didn't say beta. But getting a DVD, that's
Yes.
it. Here it is. You've paid, unless there's a balance due.
Yep. No,
That's
DVD or
excellent.
Blu-ray,
Oh, you do
even web files if they want. Sometimes there's no additional charge. It depends on how extraordinary it is. If it's just a simple little thing, I just throw it in. It's not a big deal. I don't try to nickel and dime unless there's hours upon hours of
Back.
time invested.
Got
But
it.
if it's something quick I could turn around, then I'll give it to
And
them.
how many discs normally do you do?
I do what I do is when I do the ceremony and part of the reception or the reception, I'll give 5 DVDs or Blu-rays. And for the ceremony, I cover the ceremony with 2 cameras.
Wow.
For the reception, I cover it with 1, unless I need the second for certain instances. But otherwise, it's 2 cameras at the ceremony. I've heard of videographers doing the ceremony with 1 camera, and I can't see it.
Mhm.
You move around a lot, and you don't want that shakiness
Yep.
and things getting done. You got to have 2 cameras at the ceremony. I don't see how you could do 1.
Nice. And how many locations do you work with in
Um,
Maine?
There's several. I mean, I try to be as welcoming as I can. I mean, I don't try to infringe on anyone's territory. It's basically the couple that's hiring me. I mean, I try to work with venues and get on their lists and that sort of thing. And some of them have them. Some of them had preferred vendors, but you know, a lot of times it's the couple. I mean, they want certain people there, and they know who they're getting. So it's really up to the couple. Who
And
they're gonna
I
have.
know with us, we have you on our vendor page, and we recommend him all the time. And so he's on our vendor page. So if you want to see that, it's on Blue Elephant's homepage. And I know a lot of our locations also carry you there, like the Masonic Temple, so
Yes.
Masonic Blue also
Yeah.
has you on their preferred page.
Yep.
Do you work with wedding planners as well?
I try to. There's a young lady in New Hampshire that does event planning, yourselves, of course. So I do try to work with them. Again, unfortunately, and hopefully some of this will turn it around, I'm always the last one to call, so they already have a wedding planner.
And let's
Or-
make that change, because you do want to make sure that it's in there. And recently on the internet, because everything now is on the internet, there was a couple in California, and you know, it's a beautiful story, but a sad story. You know, the mother had passed away 72 hours after the wedding, and luckily there was video to have captured the dance of the mother and son, and it was a heartwarming. It really did. It was just very sad, but very emotional and beautiful to see that the last dance that the mother and son had at the wedding was just welcomed.
Yeah.
And it was something that's there because it's going to last because of video. And,
Right.
you know, unfortunately, she did pass away 2 days later, but they have this moment
Right.
that will live on over and over and over again, and it's not something that a photograph will capture as
Right.
much as the actual video of the whole thing. So keep that in mind when you're planning everything and you're doing your budget, that video is as important as photographs. And I think they're on the same level almost.
They are,
Because
and you know that's the thing too. You know, the photographer, the videographer, we try to work together as best as we can. We don't try to get. Those are some questions I get. You know, are you going to get in the way? What if the photographer needs to do something? That sort of thing. We're there to serve the couple. We're there to do a job, and we are going to work together. Doesn't matter about egos or anything else. I mean, you need to work together.
Yep.
But
the client.
exactly, it is about the client. But a lot of times, most of the time, and almost all the time, there's really no issues whatsoever. You know, you meet and greet the photographer, you say hello, and we go about our business. I'm going to be here, I'm going to be there, and we communicate. If we need to move somewhere, kind of give a little head nod, yeah, okay, great, and you know, we move around each other, and it works.
Great.
You know, that's just it. You're there for the client.
Awesome. And I'm going to say it again, video is super, super important. So reach out to At Your Service and talk to Joe. I appreciate him coming in today for Maine Wedding Buzz. And as always, thank you for tuning in. And I'm grateful to say that one of our episodes brought a vendor referral from our show. So I'm really excited. So a little shout out to Cynthia for getting her first referral from our show. So
Yes.
see you next week and enjoy your weekend. Thanks,
you.
Joe.